Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 90, Michelle Nedelec. Her story, partner with others to take care of tech, automation. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable From the Trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Michelle Nedelec. I like saying her name. Nedelec. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So this, first of all, a little bit about Michelle. Now, you have been doing stuff for like 20 years, speaking internationally, doing executive coaching, ton of stuff. You kind of specialize in like digital marketing, automation, business automation, or whatever. Is that, it's about sums up what you do there?
That about sums it up. Yeah, we're looking at making entrepreneurs as successful as possible by taking all of the tech stuff off their plate so that they can go and play in their jam, and that's what we love to do.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, some people need that off their plate. Yeah, for sure. As a tech guy.
You would know.
I would know. I like this. I like the tech stuff. So I have a hard time giving that to other people. But we'll get into that. So, but one of the things that automation piece, so I think automation to me is probably the most exciting thing right behind like systems and processes, and then it's like automation, like all those things, like that is what I get excited about it. In my business, I'm always looking at things like how can I turn, what is the system? How can I turn this into a process, and how can I automate this? I'm asking myself that all the time. Even having a team, I always want to find ways to make their jobs easier as well. So, but before we get into all that good, juicy stuff, let's talk a little bit about you and your little entrepreneurial 20-year plus journey to where you are today, doing the awesome stuff you are today for entrepreneurs. What does that look like? How did you get here?
Well, when I started my entrepreneurial journey was when I was 23. I decided to move up to the Northwest Territories, which is inside the Arctic Circle, which was really silly. And I decided to start up not one, but 3 businesses, and learned a ton about business in general, things like marketing. So one of the companies was a tanning salon, and we got phones were ringing off the hook, but people were calling about tanning their hides and not their wives, which you may be able to understand in your neck of the woods, maybe not so much in Southern California, but I'm like, what? I don't get it. So it was up there. There's a lot of hunters, so they need to tan their hides before they can ship them back south. And I learned that being able to articulate what kind of tanning salon we were was of paramount importance. Because all the guys are like, you do what?
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Let's not confuse things here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, so messaging is really important. Got that one. And it was a ton of fun. So in about 2003, we started doing courses in helping entrepreneurs to become successful, understanding how their minds work and how we create success. And that was awesome because I happen to have my partner in business and pleasures, I like to say, doing all my tech for me, because there's the audio, the video, the everything. And in about 2015, people were asking us for more online content. They wanted video courses, things like that, which just by nature had a whole lot of tech behind it that I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I called Brad back in again. Hey, you want to do this for me? And we started to realize that there's just, you need a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of the other thing. And so I'm buying all of this software that people are telling me I need to buy. I need a website. I need a shopping cart. And I created this thing that I lovingly call Frankenware. And Brad's trying to maintain this, and he's like, I'm going to kill it. It's just not working for me. I'm like, what do you expect me to do? What are we going to do? And he found at that time Infusionsoft, which is now HeatMax Classic, and the clouds parted, the angels sang, he fell in love and went, this is going to do everything we need to do. And and if you come up with other stuff, it'll integrate. I said, great, do whatever you want to do. Couldn't care less. But as we were looking around with other speakers and other people trying to get their programs online, just the complicatedness of our businesses, it was like, hey, I got this course. I want some people to get it, just buy it. Some people to get it as part of a bigger package. Some people, I want to give it to them for free because they attended this course. And I want other people to get, module 1 as an opt-in. That seems like a really good idea from a customer service perspective, but it's a terrible idea from a tech perspective. And you're like, okay, so can we make this happen? And he's like, yeah, we can make it happen. Not a big deal. And so a lot of the other speakers that I was in masterminds with trying to figure out this whole online world, 2015, and we're going, okay, the internet's here to stay. I get it.
Yeah, by that time we should, yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it was still a matter of kind of who's going to do this tech. So we decided to pivot yet again and do the tech done for you for those particular clients that just needed to have somebody in place to be able to get that stuff off their plate and have somebody take care of it for them. So that's what we've been doing ever since, and it's been a blast.
Wow. So I'm going to take you back again.
Okay.
Because I'm curious. Like, yeah. Why were you, why did you decide to start a business to begin with back then? Like you said, 3 businesses. And,
right.
And were you, did you have, did you have any experience before that, or somebody that influenced you to do it, or said you should be doing this, or what was that decision process?
Great question. So the reason I ended up in the Northwest Territories in the first place was I had studied to be a dental assistant and decided that I didn't really want to be a dental assistant anymore. I wanted to be a dentist, but I didn't want to take 7 years to finish dentistry. So I found out that you could study dentistry elsewhere in the world and challenge the Canadian exam. And if you pass the exam, you become a dentist in Canada. And I went, oh, this is awesome. So I had this huge convoluted plan that, yes, was 7 years. And it all started with 2 years up in the Northwest Territories. And then after my 2 years, I could go to Saudi Arabia. Well, as happenstance would occur, I got pregnant, and my plans of going to Saudi Arabia were not a really good idea after that. I went, oops. So now what do we do? And so my partner at the time ran a restaurant, a very successful restaurant up there, and said, hey, you're smart. Why don't we, buy the building next door, and we can divide it into 3. There was an electronics store. We had room for a bed and breakfast, and then the tanning salon. So we did that. We bought the building. We overhauled it. And we sold the electronics and did the tanning salon, and then had a fallout. Decided we couldn't live together. So he had it was your business. It was your partner's fault for getting you into business. Exactly.
He's the blame.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it was funny because he set me up with the BDC, or the Business Development Bank of Canada, and it was okay. So what do you think you're going to do for the next year? What are your profit margin, all that kind of fun stuff? And I'm like, I don't have a clue. I've never run a business before. And he's like, well, you got to make up something. Like, I would only be making it up. I don't have a clue. Yep, you got to start somewhere. He's having this conversation with me, and I'm like, I got 98 in math and calculus. Like, I know math and I know how to figure this out, but I'm really just making shit up at this point. He's like, yeah, that's kind of how it works. So my foray into business was very much a dive into the deep end and swim. Fortunately, I was all right at selling things, so we made some money.
Yeah. Well, that's not uncommon. Sometimes it's life happens, or it's some chance meeting, and the next thing you know, you're trying to figure out how to do business, and that can be. There's a lot to running a business, so that can be a little a crazy ride, especially if you don't have a mentor or a partner or somebody that can help you in that department and guide you, or be your partner in those things.
But it's a little more savvy and a little more Gary Vaynerchuk-ish. I probably could have come up with Airbnb at that point, but no, we were one of the first that my spouse was going, hey, get us on the internet and get people up here. And I'm like, we can do that. We can totally do that.
So so that's what introduced you to the internet? You were like sitting there with a physical or like a offline services business, and you're like, we need a website. Somebody put that in your ear?
Yep, exactly. I was like, okay, how do you get a website? What do you do? Yep. Where are they? I don't understand.
How did you build your first website? Front page?
Great
I think that was
question.
popular back then.
Oh, this is way before front page. This is like 95. This is,
Oh, geez, yeah.
yeah. No, and a funny story, because then I moved down south and all sorts of fun things happened. I took computer programming and I started designing in Dreamweaver. So I started up a little bit of a web development company using Dreamweaver and setting up custom websites in 2000s. Brilliant timing right during the dot bomb. But hey,
You hung in there.
learned again.
But no, that's good. That's always actually a really good foundation, to learn the web is to understand the infrastructure behind it and how to build a website and all that. And then you can let that take you where it will.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us go into web design and development. Others like to say, maybe that's not for me, or maybe I can leverage that and now do digital marketing or whatever. So how did you start? So your first websites, you were promoting offline businesses?
Yep.
And,
yes, we did. Well, and keep in mind, this is like web 0.01.
0.01.
Like, we're not even at web 0.1 or web 1 right now.
Those are good days, yeah.
Right? Like, it was like, okay, we need a thing called a modem. We need a thing called that. And it's like, well, what is that? Well, I don't know. Like, so we're two people that have no concept of technology trying to have a technology conversation with each other going, well, it's this thing that connects into your phone line so that I can get stuff up on the internet. It's like,
you couldn't even Google it at that point.
Right?
There's no
you go to
YouTube.
the library trying to find information on the internet that,
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people appreciate what we have today available at our fingertips.
Right.
Well, that's cool. So then what kind of methods do you use to promote the website now that you have a website, or are you just driving? Like when my first website, just a little insight here, was actually an insurance website. And my whole goal with my insurance website was, the whole reason I got it was because I had a business card. And I thought, I better look really professional to have a URL on my business card, a domain on my business card. And then I put up this website. And
it looked exactly like your business card?
No, it was a little bit better. But I think I used front page because this was like 2002, 3. But my whole idea, though, was I didn't even think about marketing on the web. Mm-hmm. So naive or whatever. Like, I was just thinking, I'll give people my business card and they'll go to that URL. And so I was thinking about driving offline traffic to my website. I wasn't thinking about using the internet to actually generate traffic and leads and all that good stuff. What was it like for you? Did you have that same concept or did you go right to?
It was straight up hell. Because at that time, it was $5 for the first minute to call out from Inuvik in the Northwest Territories, and $3 every minute after that. So to phone and have a conversation with people down south was extremely expensive. To have the modem set up was extremely. And you're right. At that point, it was like you have a very elaborate business card that happens to be online that you have to send somebody to it in order for them to know what it is. Because, I mean, keep in mind, this is pre-Google. This is pre...
Yeah. Like, people don't even know what the internet is.
There's really no
yet.
search engines. There was Ask Jeeves or something. Well, that wasn't even until later. Yeah. Like, I don't really know how people searched back then. So, it's like
they just went to some random.
This is right after Windows 95 came out. So this is right after.
Very, very
Before
early.
that, you had to type in WIN in order to get into Windows, right? Like, like you had to know computers to know what you were looking for.
Yeah, I had a gap there. I was like, I used computers all through the 80s, a little bit in the early 90s. And then I forgot about computers for like 7 years. Mm-hmm. So it was like 97. I started working for an insurance agency, and we had a computer in our office, and it's a computer. I forgot about these. But even then I was like, I didn't have a personal computer yet and all that. So I didn't really get into that until like late 90s, probably early 2000s. So, but yeah, those were Wild Wild West days for sure. Even before Wild Wild West days, there was just like tumbleweeds going.
Exactly.
Like there was nobody actually out there in the Wild West. Sometimes I wish I could rewind and go back there though. If knowing what we know now.
Right.
Buy up all the
we all have
all the domains.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We'd be all rich. Yeah. So that's fun. So you kind of did the same thing. You were just trying to send people to this thing called the internet and to learn more about you that they could have just asked you probably in person.
Exactly.
But
get more of their questions answered just by asking me. Yeah.
So when did you start? Did you do any advertising or anything back even when?
No, we
fast
blew
forward
up
a little
the
bit?
business, unfortunately, long before we had a chance to make anything of it, which is rather sad because we were very much at the forefront of something that could have been, but the partnership didn't work out, so therefore the business didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to Calgary, I was kind of doing the same thing same thing as you is, it's just time to move on with my life and what am I going to do and what do I want to be when I grow up and trying a bunch of different occupations that I ended up not liking going, okay, there's got to be something better. There's got to be something easier, which is when I went back into the whole computer programming thing and went like, this is really fun. And, but even at that point in 2000, it was still very much custom coding and like everything was built by hand, right? It wasn't until Front Page came out that people started to go, oh, hey, a template. Hey, I can just put in words and text and it'll pop up and it'll all work. Everything was,
all built
you had
in
to
tables.
decide. Exactly.
Yeah. They weren't pretty, but they did the job. And I think when I first started, I put up my first website, my insurance site, it was like 2000. It was around 2002, 3. And at that point is already starting to kind of transition into you starting to see tools coming out. And, I think I came in a good point in that regard. But, so you said you started doing that again. Were you actually doing work for people, programming, building websites, or were you, what other stuff were you doing?
So yeah, at that time we were still doing, how the little airplane flies around in a circle while you're waiting for things to update in the background. We were programming the little airplane pictures around in circle because now that's just a thing. You just pop it into your website and it's just there. But at that time we had to program them to do that with the little JPEGs and the little, and then it was.
You had to do a lot to just do one simple little thing back then.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it was very arduous. And then when I discovered public speaking, it was like, yes, okay, I like this. This is no more keyboards for me. I'm out of here. Just want to go and talk and play and help people build their businesses. So then it became much more the strategy behind a business and how do you kind of replace yourself? What is a strategy for, first off, because a lot of entrepreneurs are like tactics, and they're not really aware of what a strategy is. And then it's, okay, how do we systematize this? How do we put the right people in place? How do we get your mindset wrapped around whatever you got to wrap your mindset around? And then let's get, the train moving, because a lot of people spend so much time building the train, trying to rebuild their occupation and buy themselves a job that they're not really building themselves a business. So that was the fun part then.
Yeah, it's so that's when you decided you liked speaking, you liked helping people with their businesses instead of necessarily just trying to build your own business. But you're kind of building a business too, because that's a business.
Exactly.
Everything's a business. It's all circular.
Right.
But so yeah, and that was something too that I found, because I came from the online world or the offline world, going into the 2000s when I built that insurance site, and then I'm like, oh, I can make I won't get into that whole story, but I made a sale on my website.
Yay!
With an affiliate link. I had no idea what affiliate marketing even was, and that's what got me into more of the internet stuff. But in those days, I realized as I'm looking at all these people, like I hung out in a lot of forums back then and communities and whether that's SEO communities or marketing communities, all this stuff. And having come from the offline world where I was actually used to running a business, I had a couple of different types of businesses, from insurance to some contracting, had an art business for a little while in my 20s. I had a bunch, but it seemed like a different mindset to when I got online. All these people are just like chasing after the next shiny object, or like, just these awesome sales pages that show you how to do a tactic, and that's going to make me lots of money, and so it was a mess. So what I started, actually, I built a website called, my second website name was webofopportunity.com.
Fun.
And I thought, well, I feel like these people that are online, they need to know more about business too, and run what they're doing like a business rather than just chasing a dollar. And so I kind of had that kind of same thinking too. Like these, there's a lot of people that need help, and I was the guy to do it. I was the guy to help them. So that's interesting. So that's kind of where you headed, and you start. Where were you speaking? Where did you like go locally or like international events? You said you're an international speaker, so you were. Did you start out international?
I did not start out internationally. Well, and at the time, we intentionally decided to stay in Calgary because at that time, in order to get to a lot of the personal development courses and business courses, most of them were down in San Diego, and most of them were we had to fly somewhere to get them, or Arizona. And we decided that it was really silly to go down there and meet a whole bunch of Canadians when we could just do it in Calgary and and provide some systems and support for them locally. And it was probably a bad decision in that we could have just had courses and things in San Diego and Phoenix and had Americans come to them as well, which would have then, made all of our marketing a lot easier, because as you guys have 10% or 10 times more population than we do, which then makes it 10 times easier to fill a class too, to pretty much do anything.
Probably, you got the math thing figured out.
Yeah, it was a bad decision. But then I caught on eventually and went, hey, let's just go everywhere. So yes, I've spoken from Portugal to Sydney, Australia, and down south, being able to kind of hone in on audiences wherever they're at, and being able to bring them the information and have the digital kind of back end to support it is a much better business design even now, which is kind of ironic because I kind of backtracked and went into the marketing agency, which then kind of takes away our digital delivery system, and everything's one-on-one at this point. So it's all service-based and high touch, and it's just a different business model. I'm sure we'll go back into doing courses and things at some point.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm still curious though.
Okay.
So how you're going to speak all internationally, or you started local? Were you running this all yourself? Did you hook up with any partners? How did you organize these events, or did you hook up with another organization to do that, or what was going on there?
We were really silly, and we had zero affiliate marketing. I was like, why? So a lot of the basis with which we did it. So Brad, being my partner in the tech world, he was doing all of my tech for me, and we were marketing and doing all the things to our list. We did have fortunate kind of companionship in Jay Facette with JBology. Well, now JBology. He was running personal best in Calgary, and we had a lot of synergy, and we were kind of we were doing more joint ventures per se than affiliate marketing. Like affiliate marketing being, here's my link, go send it to your people. It was more, hey, come speak on my stage, and we had him come speak on our stage, and then there was a synergy there. And that worked really well for us, because then I could say, hey, this is my buddy, and you guys got to listen to this person. So we use more of the speak from stage model and bringing other speakers in to speak in front of our audience. And likewise, I'd go out and speak in front of other people's audiences and bring them into our fold. And that, it just worked really well for us at that time. And then we started to get more into kind of the affiliate marketing side of things, but we were just kind of a touch too late on it, in that had we been doing it 2 years earlier, it would have been a lot more explosive. There was, the timing was perfect a couple of years before that.
Interesting. So then I have 2015 in my head. That was when you did what?
That's when we decided to move to the done for you
tech
side of things. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And And so now that's what you see. You have now courses or you help people, you like consult with people and help them build a better business, build better automation, better all that good stuff.
Yeah, basically we partner with our clients to help them to figure out what their marketing strategy is, their digital marketing strategy, because it is much different than an online or a traditional form of marketing. You can integrate both, but you need to understand how that all works, because it is very different online than it is, putting up a sign or a billboard or going to a networking event. It's, so being able to understand how we're going to lay out their marketing to feed into, a live course or something like that. And helping our clients to be able to not only strategize it, but to break down the timelines, to implement and get things done. So a lot of our clients initially were those speakers that were kind of in the $1 to $5 million range, because that's who I was hanging around with. Then we got a huge contract with a company out of Florida that was basically like a resort, and they'd bring people in for 3 weeks. They started in 1964, and they had 180,000 contacts of people that had taken their programs before that they had never retargeted.
Oh, there's an opportunity missed.
Right? And you're like, what? They're like,
yes, let me at it. Let me get in there.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that for about 3 years, had a ton of fun, made them, a schwack of millions, and life was good. And then when we decided, wow, that was a lot of work, let's go back to why we came into this in the first place and help those kind of solopreneurs getting up off their feet and doing things. We realized that they were just as much work for not as much money. So now we're back in that kind of what we'll call a $1 to $20 million range of established businesses that have their products and services. They've played with the tech enough to know it's not some magic box. There are things that need to get done, and we don't want to do it. It's like, you guys do that, I'm happy. Yeah. And it just works out really well for us.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Again, it's a very common story where somebody that what you're running today, there was a journey getting there. Like you had to try these different markets or different, types of offerings and the different people you're targeting, but you figured out. I like that you figured out, like, it's the same amount of work for these guys, but we could work with these larger companies. So that's probably a better option, because there's a little bit more wiggle room for you to make a profit. But that's interesting. And I also like the idea that, I think about, what I do as well, and how we, seek out a particular type of client, and that we know we can solve their problem or whatever, but it's always about what do they want to take off their plate or not want to deal with, or that we can do better. Even on my hero on my website says, do better. But it's like extending teams. And so we have clients that they might have a web development team, but maybe it's just back end. They need a front end partner. They don't want to deal with the creative or the creative teams, the front end teams. They don't know how. They want to just give that to us. Or it's a marketing team or it's just a business that doesn't want to do any web development, and that's the need we fill. And it sounds like, the same with any tech. Like what you're doing is you're basically, if I'm understanding correctly, is you're basically saying, okay, go run your business, do your marketing, do your events, do all that stuff. We'll handle the tech. We'll handle the email side of it, the automation side of it, and, help you make more money and actually, maybe actually send to your list and all that.
Exactly. So a lot of companies will work with marketers, and they work with them very transactionally. It's like, we need a campaign that sells to this thing, and then they're done. And they may do that wickedly well. But then it doesn't integrate with anything else that they build after that, obviously, because nobody's there to go, hey, should probably connect somehow. And what we want to be able to do is look at their ideal client's ideal journey. So it may involve that campaign, or it may involve, 2 more before they hit that and 3 more after they've come out of that one. So how do you start to integrate all of these things so that you're not leaving leads on the table, you're not dropping off with the follow-up, you're allowing them to come back into the fold and buy more products, whether that's more or less than what they've bought before, and just being able to understand the entire business structure as well as the tech components that are going into it.
Right, because the two go together. So it's looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Again, I can use just for us as an example. We don't just come in and take a task and be like, do this for us, and then we're gone. Our goal is to work with people where we can look at the whole thing. Let's build a roadmap for you to get you from point A to point B. Let's consider everything. Let's do an audit and, figure out where your issues are and where we can get you in a better place. But you're doing the same thing. You're not just somebody's not just come to you and be like, we have a promotion to do and we'd like you to just run some ads for us for the next month and bye-bye. But you're looking at the whole thing and what that user journey is, if I'm understanding this again correctly. And because there is a lot, because I think, just like abandoned carts and all that good stuff, there's you can recapture people and you can take them on a better journey or shuffle them along, and that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, it is, and even with the abandoned cart, I mean, you got to think about it. Somebody was interested enough to put it in the cart in the first place. So, what was that decision that made them stay there? Was it because the dog started barking, the kids started screaming, whatever was going on at home, or was it, I found another thing that kind of satiates my needs more, better, faster, more. Like, were they getting the customer service? Were they trying to get questions answered that weren't being answered? And when we can start to get new eyes on these old problems, we start to see, in a lot of cases, it's, hey, they're all asking kind of the same question and then dropping off, which is really easy to fix. Just answer that question. Start answering that question ahead of time, whether it's in the landing page or on a bot or whatever it is, to be able to help people to make that buying decision, because they clearly want it. They just aren't sure. And when you can clarify and give them the answers they're looking for, it makes it easier. And it's, to us, you want to, as a business, I think you want to partner with people like you and us to be able to have that synchronicity throughout your entire business. Because one of the biggest things, like going back to Inuvik in the Northwest Territories, is to just look at a business and go, okay, we got an idea, we're going to slap it on, let's open the door and see what happens. Well, that's not how you run a business. That's how you open a business, but that's not how you run a business. You got to have people coming into this. You got to, set up a website. Great. Are people going to the website? Do people know how to find you on the website? How are you driving that traffic to them? And the opportunities now are a lot bigger, better. Everybody knows what Facebook is. Everybody knows what LinkedIn is. You know that you can go, hey, go to my website, and they'll likely, somebody will head over there. But so there's aspects of business that are easier to comprehend now, and then there's aspects of business that are still very much in the tech that you think just because you've done it once, it's, set and go and it's good to be there. And it's really not. You need to have somebody that's looking at the equipment and making sure that it's still running tickety-boo and that your business is operating the way you think it should.
Yeah. And those experienced eyeballs, because, there's a lot of business owners, they're not tech people. They haven't been on the internet for 20 years doing stuff.
Right.
They need somebody like you to come in and really help guide them. Right. Mm-hmm. So what types of, out of curiosity, like what types of, marketing do you take what they have and try to improve it, or do you introduce things like, you should be doing advertising, or do you help them with the actual ads and actual campaigns, or do you just help with the infrastructure behind that?
It totally depends on what they want or need. So with our smaller clients, we take them through a tech blueprint and figure out where they're at kind of technically where they're at for their business, what they want to achieve, all that kind of fun jazz. And then with our larger clients, we have a digital adoption roadmap where we looking at, okay, what do you have in place? What's working? What's not working? We're doing their SWOT analysis, all the deep dive fun stuff with them. But with all of our clients, we want to know kind of what are you doing? What's working? What's not? And for some of the smaller clients, they're like, I have all these contacts, but I have no clue how to initiate a conversation with them. I don't want to flood myself because I can't keep up with it. If I start getting, 20 calls a week, I'm not going to be able to fulfill on that. So it's being able to kind of work with those entrepreneurs and figure out just where they are in business and what they need to have happen. And for some of them, it's as easy as just sending out a couple of SMS texts every week and going, hey, we have a new website. Have you seen it? You need any help? Let me know. And that generates enough phone calls and interest to be able to get new contracts and new clients and start building up their business so that they have the time to hire somebody new, have time to get a new truck out on the road, have time to fill up their schedule. It's really daunting when you're starting that phase where everything's just kind of a grind. Like money has to come in slowly enough and consistently enough to be able to take on new equipment, new debts, new staff, new whatever it is, and working with your marketing to be able to make sure that the faucet is on often enough that you got those good drip campaigns and not flooding you with overwhelm. Right. And then when somebody's just buying transactional marketing, they don't have that stability. They don't have that reassurance that, I can grow with this and it's going to be okay.
That's a really good point. And I hear those stories every once in a while where somebody did a campaign and they got flooded, like they can't even handle what they got. And like even... Let's use Matt as an example again. Even me, it's like I'm at a stage, like I've had this agency now for almost, will be coming on the 5th year, 4 years. And, but it's been this balancing act of like, like I know what I could do to market. I know what I could do to advertise, but also got to maintain what I have and not lose control of that and retain. And so I like this kind of little slower growth. I know how to flood myself, but I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to build a team over time. We got a nice team. It's keep adding a person here and there. And we're, but if you don't have somebody that has that insight and like, well, how can you do it a little bit slower? Give you just what you need so you can kind of grow into it. That's having a better roadmap like that. That's not overwhelming.
Well, and it helps too. So even in your case, when you are the tech, you love doing the tech, you love being in there doing the tech, and you're helping your clients have their tech done. That's awesome. But then it comes back to the cobbler's children not wearing shoes, right? And when we start servicing our clients and then we don't have time to make sure that we have that consistent marketing, now all of a sudden we're experiencing those peaks and valleys of income and revenue that we don't want to experience as business owners. We want it somehow, some way to be consistent so that even though we're busy, we got people coming in the door so that when I'm not busy, like we can onboard them and we'll be ready to be able to have that. And it is that communication, is that partnership that I think is super important for your clients with you to be able to say, hey, like we've got this website, but is there a way to kind of temper how we're doing it? And of course, if they're already at the point where they're using Facebook ads, things like that, it's easier. If they have a digital product that they're delivering, it's wicked easier, right? Nobody cares if you sell 100 or 100,000 of them. But when they have some component of personal time with that, if they're doing, say, group coaching, or they have contracts, or they're looking at their business and doing an analysis on top of those courses or whatever it is that they're selling, that's when it becomes important to be able to look at that and go, how as a marketing campaign do we make sure that the ebbs and tides are even so that everybody's working coordinated so that your business can grow and thrive. And that when you have that momentum of, okay, now we have a team, now we could quadruple and we'd be okay. Awesome. What do we got to do to make that happen? Yeah.
And a lot of that's just consistency. It doesn't even matter. I like for us, it's, we figured out, it's like we get to a certain level, then we can add another person or we can add another thing we're doing. And like for us, our big thing is, social media, obviously a podcast, networking. That's kind of our, I could add other things. I do other things. I've tested advertising here and there. We got other ideas for that. But for us right now, that level and what we get and the referrals we get and stuff is like just fine. We're at a good pace. And if we needed to open that up a little bit, we could do more, but we're actually happy where we are right now. And until we get to this next level, then it's like, okay, now we're ready to invest a little bit more. And that's a good model, I think, to, I just talked to somebody, I won't say who it is, but they're like, I could, work like 10 times your business in the next like year or something. I'm like, whoa, okay. My brain's going to explode thinking about that. Let's slow that down. I don't need to go that fast. Maybe
I'm sure it is possible. I'm not sure I want to survive that.
Like, I don't know what that all involves, but that sounds a little, yeah. But it's fine. Maybe that's possible, but for me, it's like, you also got to, like I said, maintain control. I care about my current client base. I care about the relationships we've built over the years. We have clients that have been with us for years, and it's like I want to maintain and make sure they're taken care of, and we continue to add value there, and then just have this other thing that we're doing that slowly grows. Like the podcast could be a whole business in and of itself if I wanted it to be. But I try to control it. But yeah, so interesting. So from automation perspective, so you provide people tools, or you have Infusionsoft? Is that what you're still using to help people, or do you have other solutions that you help on the tech side? Let's talk a little bit more about that.
It is still the hub of what we do because it is still the most robust CRM that allows you to be client concentric. So a lot of the new software that's coming out right now is funnel concentric, which means that it's hard to re-nurture and pick up those clients and to retarget them, to resell to them, to put them somewhere else. So Infusionsoft, because it's client concentric, you can take anybody out of any campaign, put them into another one, and based on their decisions, based on your business plans, based on whatever you want it to be. So to us, it's still the hub. Now, some of our bigger clients will have a ton of extra software on top of that because they have a lot more complex businesses. Right. And they want to do fun things like have the membership sites, have the SMS texting, have whatever else is going on for them. But for the smaller clients that just want to be able to, I just want to be able to have some clients coming in the door. I want to be able to have an event, hold a masterclass and have people register for it. That and a WordPress site. We happen to use Thrive Architect on top of that because it's easy for them to go in and change dates and things, and it's a little more e-commerce friendly than some other developers' themes. But for the sake of simplicity, that's what we use for our clients, so that they can start looking at what is their most profitable offer, and how do they consistently get that churning and growing and having people coming in. Once they have that consistent income and things are moving, then they can start to build out their other product lines, their other whatevers they want to do, and add those complexities to the business. But now they have the money coming in, they have the wherewithal to be able to satiate that, they have the messaging right, so that they're attracting those people, as opposed to just, hey, let's throw all this stuff out and see what happens. We want to hone them in and
right.
Yeah.
So what drives that is the data. It's actually seeing the analytics and understanding what's making you money, or adjusting that and figuring that out. And I have a client that uses Infusionsoft. But again, we extend their team, so we manage their WordPress sites and their members. They got a membership, and but they're very tied to Infusionsoft stuff. And they seem very, very happy with it, and they got a good business. So, but I haven't myself. Like, I'm not an Infusionsoft guy, but I just have to make sure the website.
That's what we're here for.
There you go.
You can have the websites, and that's totally cool. We'll take care of the tech side, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. No, what I like about it, it actually doesn't take that much input on our side. It just, there's a plugin. There's we just manage this. We maintain their site. We have a monthly contract, but it's it works really well. So that's interesting. You're still with Infusionsoft now. Keep. They're now Keep, right?
Keep Max Classic.
Keep Max Classic
is the product. So Keep, Infusionsoft themselves decided to change the name to Keep, the company name, and offer products that are more simplistic for solopreneurs to be able to go in and manage their contacts and their data and things like that. And to me, it was a market decision that they decided to go after. I don't think they should have personally, but I think also from a software perspective, they had been building this software and the technology itself changed to allow them to be able to create easier, faster, slicker on the back end of things. So it was a tough choice to do. But I think with the robustness of the programming and what it allows people to be able to do, it's still to us, it's one of the most robust. So a lot of people try to play Infusionsoft like it's a ukulele, and we make it sing like the Stradivarius that it is. And I think that's the biggest decision is people want to be able to do it themselves, and we're not advocates of that. We're like, stop playing with your tech and go grow your business.
Yeah, no, it's right. And I think I've had clients that couldn't keep their hands off the tech. And I advise them to. I said, we're here now. Stop. You can go.
You can break things, and we can charge you more to fix it. But stop that.
Well, or they just keep tweaking. They're tweaking. Like I have somebody specifically in mind. They're not my client anymore, but she was like had her hands in there all the time, and had a new project for us to do on the website. But she wasn't out creating content. She wasn't out getting attracting selling, and doing that stuff. It's like it's good. Like leverage us to help you with the tech and take care of that side, that technical side of things, make sure and help you with, deliver those analytics and insights to you. And you just go worry about what you're going to do with that and build your business. But one of the things that I think that I'm kind of getting here too is Keep Infusionsoft is, it's good. It's good for an entry level, small businesses just starting out or just trying to figure or go into that next kind of thing to help them improve their business. But it's also scalable from there. It integrates with a lot of things and it can scale with your business, which is nice. So you're not having to find a new solution down the road. It's something that can grow with your business.
Exactly. So being able to, like I said, a lot of our clients, especially when we were specifically going after those startups and being able to help them, it's making sure that they have the right systems in place from the get-go. And then, like you said, we can work with it up to, $20 million clients that have 100 staff in-house. And until you get to that size, after you get bigger than that, you're looking probably at Salesforce and all of those. But Salesforce can be like $10,000 a month, right? Like you need to have a substantial business to get to that point. Whereas for a couple of $100 a month, being able to make sure that your data is clean and that you're client concentric and that you can add products and services and you can cross market to your people, right? You can build up to 40,000 in a weekend quite nicely with it and still have the wherewithal to pay for it. So it's just looking at kind of what is your business plan? When do you plan on making the money? How do you plan on fulfilling for it? Is that feasible? Okay, great. Let's go make that happen. And a lot of our clients are like, oh, well, that normally would have taken me 3 months to do, and we're done in 2 weeks. And it's like, yes, that's the point. Quit it. And, right. So what would have taken you 3 years to build, we can get you up and running in, 6 months. And now you're making
trial
money.
And error. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're saving that time. We have somebody else that joined us here. I see. Is there a cat?
We have my little cat. Her name was Wasp, but now it's Dolores. Because
it was Wasp?
Way too much. Oh. My son got her and named her Wasp, and I'm like, she's not really a wasp. And we were at the veterinarian one day and saw the sign on the TV and said, if cats could talk. And then the next screen said it wouldn't. And we both looked at each other and went, except for our cat. And it's like, I know, right? Like, shut up, Dolores. So we renamed her Dolores.
Nice. Love it. Very vocal. Yeah.
Lovable. She's a
son. Well, let's, I think that's a good place for us to talking about cats to end.
Excellent.
Where can people, if they want to get in touch with you or get your help with their automations and their systems and processes and all that good stuff that you can help them with and talk about their business, how can they reach out? Where can they find you on the interwebs?
Yes, you can go to awarenessstrategies.com, and we are putting up a whole bunch of fun surveys and assessments and all sorts of fun stuff. So if you're having issues with your branding or your tech stacks or your business essentials and you're not sure where to go from the strategies, we have individual ones just for you, so you can go and have fun and play with all sorts of freebies there.
I love that you keep saying fun, because it is fun.
Yeah. It is fun.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
growing businesses. It's awesome.
Should be. Yeah, it should be fun.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Until we meet again. Thanks, Builders Crew.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.